the station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Freedom Chat, where real Americans speak their minds. And no topic is off limits. No scripts, no judgment, just honest conversation, raw, unfiltered, and free. If you're ready to challenge the narrative and celebrate true freedom, you're in the right place. This is Freedom Chat.
Good morning. I already see Dennis is wearing his Broncos colors. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to watch that damn game because my family will be awake. That's neither here nor there. All right. Let's start with the quote-unquote religion of Islam and what they intend on doing. We're going to talk about a few things. And we're going to start with the McCarran-Walter Act. Dennis, tell me about the McCarran-Walter Act.
Well, basically, in a nutshell, was designed to keep the Muslim community from holding any seats in office.
Why was that, Mom?
Say that again, Dennis.
It was designed to keep Muslims from holding any seats in any office of the United States.
I don't remember the actual act being signed because I just never thought about it because we never had an issue because they were never in the government. They were not allowed for a long. They weren't even allowed in the country for a long time.
Right.
Once again, my question is, why was that?
And that is because they cannot, if they are truly believers of their religion, Islam, then they cannot, therefore, truthfully give loyalty to this country because it's against their religion to have any other country and or government above or before Islam, which is a government as well as religion.
Okay, now, why is that in a historical context? Do other, okay, let me ask it this way. Do other religions have the same ideological viewpoints?
I'm sure there are some.
Okay, I'm talking about, okay, do Buddhists, and I would know because I did at least a form of Buddhism for a while, do Buddhists believe in intentional deception of their faith in order to gain a foothold?
That they don't.
The answer is no. Do Jews, the chosen people, do they deceive other groups and by extension other nations in order to further advance their religious beliefs? Dennis, do you know that answer?
According to Palestine, they do.
Yeah, well, we'll get into Palestine in a bit.
But the answer is no.
Okay, and we're going to get into Palestine in 1 second. Actually, let's just clear Palestine out right now. Hamas is threatening to end the ceasefire, even though they haven't honored the ceasefire since the ceasefire began. They are making claims. They are making claims that Israel is depriving them of food, and that Israel is creating this mass death, even though part of the ceasefire was that they would have no authorities in the structure and operation of the government in Palestine. However, they automatically violated that part of the ceasefire when they came in and took over Gaza after the IDF had left and started killing their own people. This is where I get to tell people the things that they don't want to hear. I don't care if you are a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. What I do care about is when a group of people openly and blatantly lie about what they are going to do, then you cannot have an agreement with people like that. They break the agreement, and then because we have a bunch of liberal leftist morons both in the media and in social media and in our government that will sit there and scream bloody murder against Israel. Israel has followed every element of that ceasefire. They have responded when they have been attacked because, hey, we're in a ceasefire, but Hamas is going to go ahead and still shoot rockets at us. So for those of you people who say free Palestine, go get bent, because I'm sick and tired of hearing your crap. You want a free Palestine? Destroy Hamas. Destroy Hamas and you'll free Palestine. Rashida Tlaib, you know what I want from you? Because you were on a stage last week and you were screaming bloody murder about Palestine this and Palestine that, and you were actually, as a sitting congressman, talking about the overtaking of American government. Oh my God. This is a message to Congressman Johnson, Speaker of the House. Censure that woman and set up the mechanism to bounce her happy little ass out of office. Yeah, I'm a little hot. Because I've sat and I've watched these people tell blatant lies, and I'm going to bend you people out of shape. Most of the left morons that I come across are just that. You're left morons. You're beyond stupid because you know you're being lied to, and you're too damn proud to step away from that crap. Okay, that's my soapbox. Someone else can jump on for a minute.
Hey, Mark, I read some earlier today that actually made a lot of sense. A couple of things, but this one in particular said that they weren't sure if they were more worried about the ideologies of the jihadist Islamic radicals, or if they're more worried about the actual Democrats in our government that's causing all this. The rhetoric that they're spewing is causing all this uprising of Islamic radicalism.
Well, here's my question. What do you think? Hang on, Mom. What do you think, Dennis?
Oh, if it comes from our own government, I'm definitely more worried about that.
And how many times have we heard one of those people, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, any one of them, any one of the, especially the ones that are of the Islamic quote unquote faith. And I'm going to keep saying quote unquote faith, and I don't care whose buttons I push, because you cannot have a faith that is based around hatred, death, slavery, and all of the things that faith claims is perfectly okay. And I can pull video after video after video of imams, religious men, standing there justifying their evil rhetoric and their evil activities and their evil elements of that quote unquote faith. And I need to make sure people understand, if you truly are of that faith, you must be scared half to death to speak out, because they have no problem shutting you down.
Yep.
Harshly. And modern day Christian, you don't see violence coming from Christians. Hey, you see Muslims going to Christian and the beginning of Christmas celebrations, and they're interfering with them blatantly. And this is happening more in Europe right now. There was a complete, in Germany, they destroyed a Christmas tree, and they are becoming more and more openly disruptive. I am waiting patiently for a group of people to start responding in kind.
Well, they will.
Because as far as I'm concerned, I've had enough. I'm tired of this. It goes back to a quote from the movie Tombstone. There is no live and let live with bugs. And whether you're an extreme Christian or an extreme Islam or an extreme Jew or an extreme what, you have no place in society if you are not willing to look at someone for their differences and still accept them. Mom, your turn.
Historically, the Catholic religion was the early Catholic religion before the 7th century was about as closed as Islam is. However, they were forced to change, and they did change. That's the difference. Our Christian religion, and the Jewish religion too, to some extent, has not stayed mired in the 7th century barbarianism that Islam is. And
Right.
that's a
Well-
clash of cultures, and one will come out on top, and we better damn well hope it's us and not them.
Well, I kind of want to talk historically since you brought up history. You guys know why the Christian Crusades happened, right? You guys understand that, and that goes for anybody watching. I've already turned off 15 people. We had 15 people watching, and after my last tirade, we're down to 2. I don't know how accurate that is, but whatever. I'll give you guys
see
a
the
quick.
comments, Mark.
Oh God, I haven't even
Some
seen
comments over there.
Yeah, let's take a look. Okay. Oh, Grandpa. Okay, Grandpa, shut up. No, I don't think so. This is my damn show. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm mad. I don't know who you are. Oh, Israel is terrorists. Great. You guys are just phenomenal. Tell me why their terrorism's relaxing music LX9MN. Tell me why. Explain to me why they're the terrorists. And hey, Sarah Hotto 7277. Explain to me why I need to shut up. Because I'm telling you right now, the problems that we have are because of people like you telling people like us to shut up. You'd rather turn a blind eye and let this stuff happen until it's right there on your doorstep. And then when it's on your doorstep, you'll be begging for the very people who are being loud today to step up and save your nary little asses. Did I say that out loud?
Yes.
Oh,
And
crap.
thank you.
I'm in trouble. Am I in trouble now? I hope I'm not in trouble. I didn't mean to say a couple of bad words, but I did. I'm not going to say that. I'm not dropping the F-bomb.
Well,
Mark,
Mark,
yeah,
you said earlier, just a little bit ago, that you were, sick of these Islamists and all this crap going on. Well, I am too, and I'm also tired of these liberal left loonies like these people here,
right,
condoning it and backing the rhetoric
right.
and fueling the fire. You know what? I'd just soon knock your ass out.
Right. And look, I walk down the streets. I see people in their hijabs, young women, young and ladies. I don't judge them. That is entirely within their culture, but I don't think that they know that their culture has been warped. I really don't. I don't think that they really know that in the 80s they were free. Sorry, not the 80s. In the early 80s, many of them were free. It's like I said, it started in 77, 76 with the Ayatollah Khomeini and Iran. But ever since then, it's been oppressive. It's been misogynistic. It's been everything but. And just so you kind of understand, I was watching a video from an imam. So for all of you that made those comments, try to understand this. They believe that they can keep one wife and 3 slaves. That is within their religion. That is coming not from me. That is coming from an imam. So if you don't like what I'm telling you, you need to go back out there. You need to do your research. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to call these people out by names because that's what I do. Sarah Hotto 7277. Do your own damn research. Quit trying to think that you are smarter than I am, because newsflash, you're not. And Relaxing Music LX9MN. Once again, do your research. I'm not the one that doesn't know what he's talking about. You are. So you can do and say, hey, for that matter, why don't you come on board? You want to come on? You want to do this? Come on to my show. Come onto our show, and we'll go about this. But hey, here's what I'll tell you. Both of those people, they're also cowards. Neither one of them will actually come out and say anything out loud because they don't have the stones to say anything out loud. All right, it's time for our break, and then we'll get back into it. We're going to get into the Seditious Six, as they're now known, and we'll go from there. Here we go.
Those are cool tats, man.
Oh, for real. Thank you, bro. You see the Cobra?
And what is this one?
Oh, this? That's my credo. No regrets.
You have no regrets?
Dad?
No?
Like not even a single letter?
No way. Not me.
Well, I love him. I think he's great.
Okay.
I think he's a real winner, Casey. If I were you, I wouldn't use protection.
I just can't help myself.
RAGRETS.
Hey, Mom, did you see it now?
The problem is I cannot read it.
Don't worry, he couldn't either.
Yeah, 2 different reasons why.
Hey, our 2 people that made their posts, they probably would want to date that dude.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our Seditious Six. On Thanksgiving morning, I actually sent an email to Congressman Jason Crow, who cannot be recalled into the military because he simply got out. He simply resigned his commission. Of the 6 who told American servicemen to not follow illegal orders or to disobey illegal orders without making sure that they differentiated enlisted and officers, B, didn't give any kind of an example. So they left the illegal order part completely wide open. And oh, by the way, by their own volition, every single one of them has been on one show or another. And I mean every single one of them been on one show or another. And there is not a single one of them who can cite a single illegal order that has been brought forth by President Trump or Pete Hegseth.
Nope.
So
they don't go on Fox.
So what? Well, I know they don't go on Fox. I can't do anything about that, Mom. Half of them don't go on Bill Maher either, which is hilarious in its own right. He's called them out for it. He says every time I reach out to a Republican, the Republicans come on, or they at least schedule it. He has asked numerous Democrats to come on his show and have conversations, and he has been refused 100% of the time. 100%. Well, why is that? Well, as much as I don't. Well, I mean, I'm not the biggest Bill Maher fan, but I will say one thing about Bill Maher: he is upfront, he is honest, and he is not biased. He didn't vote for Donald Trump, but he went out and he met Donald Trump after Donald Trump was elected. He didn't vote for Donald Trump, but he came out and admitted that Donald Trump has actually been doing a pretty good job. He doesn't like Donald Trump, the guy, but he's damn sure going to be honest about whether or not he's going to say that the guy is doing a good job or a bad job. And
after that dinner he had with him at the White House, he came out and said, "Yeah, Donald Trump's not the monster everybody says he is."
Right, and that kind of lends you to wonder what's wrong with the rest of the people when a guy like Bill Maher can come out there and can be honest about his assessment of him without openly saying I support the man, but I'm also not going to be overly critical because he's not what I thought he was.
Right. Fetterman too.
Oh yeah, complete reversal on opinion about Fetterman as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
But let's talk about the seditious six. Dennis, do you want me to? I'm going to pull up their names because I want to make sure everybody knows who they are, and I'm sure most people do. The big names were well, in our world, the biggest name was Crow.
Mark Kelly.
The biggest one was Mark Kelly, although he wasn't the one who organized this thing.
Right.
It was the CIA woman who did, and you know it just honestly it blows me away that we're having to deal with this.
I don't know why that doesn't surprise me that she's the mastermind behind it.
Well, yeah, because of course.
I think she honestly, dude. Maybe she was a DEI hire before DEI was, the thing.
No, maybe she's just waiting for the shoe to drop whenever they find out what kind of corruption she did when she was in the CIA.
Right. All right, so here's who they are. Senator Mark Kelly, Senator Alyssa Slotkin. She's the one who did the interview talking about potentially National Guard shooting at civilians, which was not going to happen because if you are a disciplined force, you aren't shooting at anybody unless you're told to. And like I said last night or last week when we talked about what constitutes an illegal order versus a legal order, if you know that the people are in the crowd are unarmed and are posing no significant threat, i.e. they're just out there doing what they do, you're not firing on those people because that does constitute an illegal order. Let me see the other one. Jason Crow, Chris DeLuzio, Maggie Goldlander, and Chrissy Houlihan. So that's the six. And look, I'm going to be real honest with you. I think that Chris DeLuzio, Maggie Goldlander, and Chrissy Houlihan, they were not the leaders of this particular group. They went along with it, but I think that they regret it. They're actually the three that I have not seen interviews from at all.
Right.
Jason, he loves to be in front of the camera. That dude loves being in front of the camera to tell everybody just how, I was an Army Ranger. Newsflash, Jason, we know you were an Army Ranger. Doesn't make you any less of a traitor telling your military without clear definition as to what you're talking about to disobey orders. And I don't want to hear anybody say illegal orders. Those of us who went through boot camp, those of us who went through the military know damn good and well what a illegal order is, because we were trained on what an illegal order is. When you leave something that open to interpretation and you don't differentiate, enlist it from officers, you are opening the door for the most worst series of events to happen. Has anybody? Okay, I'm going to ask Mom. You remember the mutiny on the Bounty, right? The story.
Oh yeah.
Okay, why did that happen? Why was there a breakdown in the chain of command? The reason there was a breakdown in the chain of command that resulted in the mutiny was there was no clear-cut definition of A, who was in charge, B, who had authority, and C, where that authority began and ended. This is exactly that if you really want to take it and dig into it. You have put into question the validity of the chain of command. Well, the minute you do that, you're putting into question everything else. And I can tell you, having gone through situations where I was needed to be follow the orders, I got news flash for you. If you didn't follow orders in my world on a naval vessel, you had a chance to kill a whole lot of people by simply not following orders. If you're out in combat, you do not have the luxury, and it is a luxury, to second guess what your superiors are telling you to do. And some of the superiors are going to ask you to put yourself physically in harm's way. Newsflash, that's not an illegal order. Nope. Shooting into a bunch of women and children wantonly is an illegal order. Just so we understand the definition of both, that's an illegal order. Putting a gun to the head of a soldier who everybody has identified as a surrendered soldier and shooting him constitutes an illegal order. See, I'm giving you the definitions of what an illegal order is, and these morons that are currently serving our country in office, who were all prior military, can't even. And I'll tell you, here's the newsflash: it isn't that they can't tell you what it is; it's that they don't want to tell you what it is because they know they're wrong. They know they were wrong. They know that they did the wrong thing, and just like everything else, they're either too proud or too stupid to come back through and say, we were in error, this is on us. Because what happened in D.C. is not on them. What happened in D.C. is on Joe Biden. What happened in D.C. is on all of these people who have made the National Guards people to appear in their eyes to be wrong and illegal. That guy that shot those two kids was an Afghanistan national who was brought in under Biden's garbage asylum right after he completely screwed up the removal, the exit of Afghanistan. And instead of vetting them properly or sending their happy little butts back, you just let them wander willy-nilly. There was an attempted bombing in Texas 2 days before the shooting. Thank goodness that the law enforcement in Texas caught the little bugger. But hey, we just want to make sure that we protect those that are helping us. Here's another news flash for you. I played for a kid named David Sonka, and this is a story that is told again and again and again from the Afghanistan war. You cannot trust them. I can tell you exactly why. David Sonka was up in the mountains with his dog. He was a dog handler Marine. David Sonka was killed by the guy who was supposed to be his helper, his guide, turned on him and then shot not only him, shot the dog and shot four or five more Marines before he was shot himself. So don't give me this crap of, well, they were helping the United States. I'm sure they were, but that doesn't mean that you trust them.
And that happened more than once.
Like I said, this was a reoccurring story. This isn't the only time it happened. It happened again and again and again. So once again, I don't want to hear any more of these bleeding heart people telling me that I need to be a nice guy. I don't need to be a nice guy. We don't need to be nice guys. Here's a comment from a guy, and this makes sense. I'm going to ask you guys how you feel about this. Okay, first, I want to ask you guys, once again, what do you think we should do with these 6 senators and congressmen?
At the very least censored, but my preference would be they should be sent out of the Congress.
Okay, so here's my next question for you. How much faith are you going to have in our government if nothing happens to these people?
About the same amount of faith as I have now.
Right.
I mean, after all, they don't seem to care about the president that really wasn't Biden.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true. So here's a comment from a guy named Keith Gross. If a migrant is of no benefit to a country, why would they be allowed into that country? We used to have a level of sanity within our immigration. We've lost that. It's time to reevaluate the necessity of every type of visa we currently issue and then completely eliminate many of them. How do you guys feel about that statement? I would say that is a very accurate statement of how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, accurate.
And we'll use this as an example. Mom, if you knew that the people that were living up the street were, I'm not saying illegal aliens, but weren't of benefit to you in your house, they were just going to come in and eat you out of house. Okay, here's an example. Jimmy Klipka, God rest his soul. If Jimmy Klipka had proved to be completely useless, how quickly do you think we would have bounced his happy little ass out of your home?
Yeah, we wouldn't have let him stay.
Right. We wouldn't even let him in if we knew. And he wasn't. He turned out to be, hey, Jimmy was a good dude, man. You know,
Yeah.
I know I'm not very popular when I say that amongst certain circles, but I don't care. But
Well,
that's the point right there. You don't let someone in who's completely useless to your household. Dennis, hey, how about I just come in, I eat up all of your food, and just hang out with you, but I don't go back to work.
Well,
You gonna let me
yeah.
in? You gonna invite me?
Not if I knew you were going to do that.
Okay, so here's the question: how do you vet people that are probably not going to benefit the pre-existing society?
Well, you probably ask them a lot of questions before they come through your front door.
Oh, that could be fun. That could be fun.
That'd be what I'd be doing.
And when we come back, because we're going to do our last break, I really want to talk about these protests that are going on, that are going on in there's a few places that are going on, and we'll talk about that when we come back.
What happened to you? Ruben, I'm in a situation here. We have to leave now. Well, no, can we stay a couple more minutes? Dude, no, this is serious. I just sharted. I don't know what that means. I tried to fart and a little shit came out. I just sharted. And let's go.
There's a car behind us.
I got a million of them. Oh, by the way, we got no more comments.
Yeah, I see that.
How do you feel about that?
Hey, I read something the other day. You might have read it too. About the average IQ level in Somalia.
No.
I
Go ahead.
read a thing that said that the average IQ in Somalia is about 67. 70 is roughly retardation, I think they said.
Let me ask you. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Is IQ something that is developed, or is IQ that something that just happens naturally?
I think it could be developed.
I think it is developed.
And then,
I think that
and
when
then
you're
it happens naturally also.
Let's use this as an example. Yes, there are people who are underdeveloped, but you don't start gaining an IQ until you're starting to be taught things. Your IQ starts to develop as you start receiving information.
Hence the purpose for education.
Hence the focus on real education. Let's just call that what it is.
Right.
And we are going to talk about something. My wife and I had a really, really deep conversation this week about. She said some things about me that I'm going to talk about, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Mom, what do you think? Is IQ something that is developed, or is it a combination?
It's a combination. However, you cannot use an IQ test for people in undeveloped areas, or if you want to call them undeveloped.
Well, they're underdeveloped, aren't they?
They're developed, but they're not developed in the Western way.
Are they what we would consider third world countries?
Third world countries.
Okay.
So you cannot compare their IQ to what we have on our test, because it's apples and oranges.
Right. However, let's take a look at the IQ of the Somalians, since we're talking about the ones that that were brought to the United States. Let's look at their collective IQ as a matter of comparison. And let's see now. And I'm asking this as honestly and as openly as I can. What would their IQ be? They've been given access to superior education. They've been given access to superior amenities. I mean, if you want, running water, actual ability to get rid of the refuge, and I would say that a young Somalian, unless they have been kept from going to schools here, would have at least a semi-comparable IQ level as a inner city white kid who is going through a lot of the same socioeconomical struggles as a less to do Somalian born in the United States. Would that be a fair thing to say?
That's a more fair assessment.
Okay, so that's not taking the color of the skin into the equation. It's taking the environment with which they are being put. Does that make sense? So to answer your question, it doesn't surprise me that, because it also doesn't surprise me that anybody who is born in a Muslim-ruled country that is a young lady is going to have a naturally lower IQ, not because they're stupid, but because they're being denied the basic essentials of being allowed to have access to greater and further information.
And I watched.
Is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment. And I watched something last night on the education system here that they started implementing with Jimmy Carter when he started the Department of Education.
Right, that nightmare.
Kids can't read because they're not taught phonics, for one thing.
Well, yeah. And why are they not taught phonics? Because they really don't want people to read.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
Sorry about that. I apologize. That was my fault. That was a fat finger. I apologize.
Okay, fat finger.
No, I get where you're coming from, and I'm glad Dennis brought this up, because we can talk about the Department of Education, the albatross that it is, and the fact that it should have been well, number one, it should have never even been instituted. God rest Jimmy Carter. I understand his intentions, as honorable as they may have been, and I'm not willing to say that they were honorable. I said may have been. That said, you couldn't have had a more detrimental government entity than that to our youth. And unfortunately, Dennis, you and I were victims of the Department of Education, which is an embarrassment unto itself. I think that once again, and I'm going to blame two groups of people. I'm going to blame the politicians for taking advantage of things like the Department of Education. Any one of these three-letter entities that has gotten millions, in the case of the Department of Education, $3 trillion since its inception in 1977. $3 trillion. Dennis, how many freaking zeros is trillion?
I'm not even sure.
Too many for me to count.
Yeah.
So how do you throw $3 trillion and end up 40th in developed nations?
It's pretty easy when you don't teach them how to read.
Okay, but once again, you throw $3 trillion. Well, then I'll tell you what they did. They committed crimes. They created embezzlement crimes. I will tell you this. I am smart because I am self-taught, and I have learned from the education that I received. That's why I'm smart, and I am smart. I'm not going to just be that guy who says he ain't smart. No, I am smart because I do read. I know my history. I know the Constitution. I need to get better with the Constitution, but at least I know enough of it to tell someone where they're jacked up.
And you had a mean mama.
Yeah, you know what, Mom? You can say that all you want, but that isn't even remotely true. And the reason it's not true is because you were doing it for the right reason. You made me practice a half hour a day on the trumpet because you wanted me to get better, not because you were a mean mom. And when you're younger, you think, oh man, my mom was mean. Well, here's the news flash. They were, but they were for a reason. I do and say things today to both of my kids, not because I want to, but because I feel I have an obligation to. That's called growing up, folks.
Remember the ransom of Red Chief, and I got mad about that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was middle school. That was racial middle school, which no longer exists. All right. I want to talk about I want to talk not about what happened in D.C. on Thanksgiving Eve. I want to talk about what's gone on since. There have been protests throughout the nation. Specifically, New Orleans had one really bad. waving Palestine flags. They spit hate at the National Guard troops. They basically are wanting to, they are now openly talking about taking over the government and taking over our country. There were similar protests in Dearborn, Michigan, which prompted the National Guard to go in there. These are people in the United States of America chanting death to America. So I'm going to go back to the comments and I'm going to read, hey, Sarah7277, I hope you're still watching. How do you reconcile people in the United States of America screaming death to America when they probably didn't come from America? Hey, Rain Music, whatever the hell the rest of your name is, same question. How do you reconcile that, Mr. or Ms. Israel are terrorists? You know, I don't know what to tell you. I want to know how you reconcile Americans saying death to America, or immigrants who came here because, they were trying so hard to escape the horrors of where they were from. And now they're marching in the streets of Dearborn, Michigan, screaming the same things that they were screaming when they were in the countries that they were in.
They can just go back.
You know, I've got neighbors all around me of different ethnic backgrounds. I can assure you one thing: they all consider themselves Americans, and I've never seen anybody come out of their house and say "Death to America." They, as we all do, appreciate what America has to offer. It doesn't matter what color you are, but in order to live here, you have to love it.
Don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, is that not common sense, though?
It's not. Yeah, it's not rocket science.
And let me ask you a question. If you had the opportunity to go anywhere in the world, if the United States was as oppressive as some of these other nations are, do you think you would want to do everything you could to stay in a better place?
Sure.
Why is it that they feel that they can badmouth the very nation that has allowed them to badmouth? Why? We all have a right to be critical. We all have a right to free speech. That is what, as American citizens, we have a right to. My question is, why would you be that way? At what point do you look around and go, holy crap, I've got it really good? Not only do you have, and this is for anybody watching, in this country, you have the opportunity to go from zero to whatever you want. And this is literally the only country that affords you the opportunities and freedoms to do that.
You know, ironically, Mark, the First Amendment is so free that it literally allows it to be distorted.
It does. It absolutely does. You guys have heard of the color revolution, haven't you?
Rings a bell.
Okay, well, the color revolution, for all intents and purposes, is the color revolution is how socialists take over their countries. That's how the color revolution works. The color revolution works like this. You bring people in who truly don't have any allegiances to the government that they're in. It's the government that they're after. They want control of the country that they come into. So they come in, and the first thing that they do is start creating environments that put the existing society and the existing government and the existing people on their heels by saying, you must be Islamophobic, you must be racist, you must be this, you must be that. And they do it again and again and again, and they basically get you on your heels to the point where you're not willing to say anything moving forward. When they get enough people, and then they start working their way in through the legal system, in through the governments, in through everything else that they like to do. The minute that they gain full control or enough control, they will remove the existing power structure, and they will insert their power structure. And in all honesty, if you look at every Muslim country in the world, every Muslim nation, Islam nation in the world, they operate from a totalitarian base. Do
Right.
you, as Americans, want a totalitarian base? Because I'm telling you right now, that's where we're headed unless we put a stop to this. And I'm going to give Donald Trump 100% credit. After what happened in D.C., he is taking steps to mitigate this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's within his rights. He sent a post that talked about exactly that. And that's really what it is. Okay, here's a comment. Here's a comment from another person that I follow. Americans need to realize we're in the midst of a coup. It's a color revolution. Democrats are demonizing. They demonize the military. They demonize law enforcement. That is exactly what they started doing in 2020.
Yep.
DHS, ICE, and the military. The seditious six called on the military to disobey the president's orders. Now National Guard members are being shot in the streets. When are they going to denounce what is that they said that created the environment with which those young men, that young man and that young woman were shot? And a more important question is, when are we as American citizens going to step up and say, we've had enough? Jason Crow, resign. I am telling you right now on this forum, you need to resign your office in Congress, because that is a position of honor. And yes, you may have served our military, but you have no honor. You want to piggyback on that, Mom?
Well, I guess the only thing I would say is that Senator Kennedy, he's such a good guy,
He is.
has already tried to bounce him out of the Senate. People who are not born in the United States.
I agree with him.
I agree too.
Unless, okay, let's do this. Let's do this in a way that makes sense. You make amendment to the Constitution that states if you are a naturalized citizen that has been in the country for 20 to 25 years, which I would say gives you an ample assimilation time to where your loyalties to the nation are unquestioned, then you can serve.
Yeah.
I don't think that works, Mark.
Well, I'm telling you that is a way to start vetting the process, is what I'm saying.
Schumer certainly has been here his whole life, and I can't say that I consider him a true blue American anymore.
Okay, I'm not. We're not. That's not what we're talking about. Schumer was born here. Schumer is not a naturalized citizen. We are talking about naturalized citizens serving in office. I say, after 20 years, and you vet that 20 years, if it shows that they are loyal, that's when they can start to serve their communities. And even then, they can't serve in Congress or the Senate in the Congress until they have shown that they're able to serve their individual communities and city and state first. There needs to be a process there. And we're not even taking into consideration two naturalized citizens can give birth to a citizen, right? Well, that citizen will be able to then serve. Well, what if his or her parents are completely disloyal? That citizen of the nation would then be able to come into government having been raised by disloyal parents. And look, it goes both ways. They can also be raised by loyal parents, right?
Right.
Here's what I don't understand about immigrants. You come in, you hate Jews, you hate Christians, you hate atheists, you hate gays, you don't like dogs, I don't know why, bacon, wine, beer, your civilization, your culture, your traditions, your country, and you. But then you complain that someone who looks down their nose at you for hating all of those things is Islamophobic. Okay, let's talk about what a phobia is. Mom, what's the definition of a phobia?
Don't ask me. I don't know what the definition is.
It's the irrational fear of something. Kind of like my fear of soap bubbles. Pretty damn irrational that I am terrified of soap suds. I blame you, Mom. I don't know why, but I do. Because I don't know when it started, but it started when I was young.
You like them in your bath.
But do I don't like them when I'm washing dishes either. I use a sponge, and that's what I use.
Don't feel bad, Mark. I have a fear of a lot of holes, like in a sponge.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, that just it's oogie to me.
So the question is are you afraid of someone who is of the Islamic faith? Dennis, I'll start with you.
No, I'm not afraid of them.
Mom?
No, I'm not particularly afraid of them, but I can't say that I feel very comfortable around some that I knew.
Okay, my question is, if it was a phobia, you would. Okay, the point I'm making is, by definition, a phobia is an irrational fear of something. Arachnophobia is an irrational fear of spiders. Claustrophobia is an irrational fear of tight spaces. What's the one with heights? Being scared of heights. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a phobia, right? And there are numerous phobias. Like I said, I suffer from phobia of bubbles. I don't know what the hell to call it.
There's germophobia.
There's germophobia. I have, as I've gotten older, developed a slight degree of claustrophobia. The point that I'm making is, when we talk about transphobia, and we're going to talk about transphobia in the next 8 minutes, because that was what my wife and I talked about the other night. Islamophobia would represent, by its pure definition, an irrational fear of people of the Islamic faith. The people on this forum here have just told you, we have no such fear. That doesn't mean that we trust them. It doesn't mean that we understand. And I would love to try to understand their faith a little bit more, except I already don't trust that they're going to be honest with me, because within the Quran, it says, be deceitful and be deceiving.
Mm-hmm.
It is a faith of dishonesty. And as critical as we are of the Catholics and of the Christian religions back in the 7th century, they weren't deceitful about what it was that they were doing and what their motivation was. Mom, you got to agree with that.
Yeah, they weren't deceitful. They just did it.
They made no bones about what their intentions were, right?
Right.
Okay. These people do not make bones about their intentions. Although, since they've been able to gain a foothold in many places of the world, they've become much more emboldened, because the Quran says, when you're able to, you can go full on. Newsflash. Many of them have started to go full on even in this country. And we know what's going on in Europe. I'm telling you, I will be honestly surprised if Britain isn't in a full on civil war, and that includes Ireland and Scotland, in the next 4 months.
Very soon.
I won't be shocked at all. And I will not be shocked if that spreads to Western Europe in its own right.
Yep. The whole Europe's going to be on fire in 6 months, man.
And it's going to be scary.
Yeah.
Let's finish this off first with the fact that I was told by my wife, she doesn't like to watch my individual chats, and she hasn't been on Freedom Chat because of my extreme views surrounding the transgender political ideology. And I had to explain to her that you're calling it a transphobia. I don't fear any of them, but I'm going to tell you, gender dysphoria is what they have. And the issue at hand here isn't the gender dysphoria, it's the intentional grooming of children who don't know the difference between Elmer's glue and food, which I was one of them. I didn't know the difference.
That taste was pretty good.
Hey, yeah, man, it doesn't taste horrible. Hey, what about dirt?
Dirt was all right.
I was always more of a mud guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's something about mud pies.
Yeah.
I had to explain to her that I have not once said anything against the transgender community other than the fact that they suffer from gender dysphoria and that men who couldn't cut it athletically as men would then feign, and this is feign, I'm telling you right now, Leah Thomas is a dude. He still has his junk, and he couldn't cut it as a swimmer in the men's category. So he all of a sudden said, "Oh, I'm a girl." No, you're not. And he went, how do you go from, what was he, 299th in the nation as a man to number one as a woman? Well, number one, it's because you're not a woman. You're a man. You have no business competing against women. Period. Right. And that was what I was trying to get through to her. I literally had to tell her, you're acting as if I'm against these people. I'm against those people because they took advantage of an ideology that was already on the fringe and they used it for their own personal gains. And that is all of them. That is the MMA fighters that basically hospitalized 3 women before the MMA said no more of this.
Well, Mark, and collegiately, they're blocking the path for actual women to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, Title IX, it might as well not exist, right?
Right.
Because, I mean, if men can be women, then Title IX doesn't mean a hill of beans.
Nope.
Right.
It doesn't matter that they still got their junk between their legs. Oh, I identify as a woman. Hey, newsflash. I identify as a 3-toed sloth. It doesn't mean I'm a 3-toed sloth. A guy cannot become a girl. Biology is real. The science is real. If you're confused, go seek help. I didn't make the rules, but I'm going to follow them. If you are confused as to what you are, and I know people who are, I have given the same advice every single time. Go seek legitimate help. Don't go to one of these people who is running a separate agenda, who does not believe in the Hippocratic oath of first do no harm. That goes for the psychological community as well as the medical community, folks.
Right.
They're not doing you any favors. And that was what I was telling my wife. You're putting this on me. This ain't on me. I'm not confused as to whether or not I'm a boy or a girl. I'm pretty sure I'm a guy. I've looked down there a couple of times. It ain't changed.
Mark, but the thing is like you can't, we as a society, and look, nobody's perfect. We all got issues. I get it.
Oh, no, I'm perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. But
Mom is just sitting there going, what?
Your mom's like rolling her eyes. But society in general, we can't have a tiny segment of our society telling us that we need to believe what they're telling us.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it.
No.
I'm not going to tell you what you can, or you can go be a furry if you want. I don't care.
Right.
Go dress up in a dog suit and roll around, go piss on a fire hydrant. I don't care.
Right.
But you're not going to force me ever to consider you a freaking dog.
Right. I'm not going to sit there and call you Fido.
No. I'm going to call you Gary or Sarah or whatever the hell your name
was at birth. Right. And this whole dead eating is another thing that drives me up a wall.
Here's my point that they really don't ever like to discuss. If it weren't for people, Mark, like you and I and Dennis's mom and dad, who actually know what gender is, it's called, you get in the back of a car, a guy and a girl, and you have sex. Hey, now you know what gender is.
Hey, Mom, it's not just the butt seat.
if it wasn't for us, there would be no gays and or heterosexuals. There would be nobody to come after us
Right.
if there were not for us regular people.
Right.
And they never
and here's
address that. And that's what they're taking away from these little kids that they're trying to get to take the shots and all that other stuff. And that's wrong.
And it's child abuse.
It is.
And we've said that. I mean, as you have to get a permission slip if you're 17 and you want to get a tattoo. But these people who, and I will call them what I want to call them, they're evil people who want to destroy other people's lives. And hey, here's the news flash. They're destroying people's lives. You can look up how many former trans who had these horrible things happen to them who regret it because as they got older, they started to figure things out because, hey, here's a newsflash. As confused as you are, the older you get, as long as you are with the right people, you will figure things out. Now, the other thing that I told my wife, and I'm going to tell you guys this, because this is legitimately how I feel, and I don't care whether you agree with me or not, because I don't care whether you agree with me or not. I don't care if you are trans and you go into the opposite sex bathroom as long as you don't do anything to the other people that are in the bathroom. If you look like a woman, like Blair White looks like a woman, if Blair White goes into a girl's bathroom, I wouldn't know that Blair White was a dude any fucking way. Sorry, I actually dropped an F-bomb and didn't mean to. I really wouldn't know.
Right.
Because Blair White looks like a girl. And there are others that look like girls. If they go in, who would know the difference? They're going to go in the stall, they're going to close the door, they're going to do their business. But if you go into the opposite sex bathroom as a female trying to be a guy, unless you've been able to pull that off, people are going to notice. And if that is what you want to do, as long as you aren't impeding on someone else's rights or someone else's whatever, I don't care. Go wherever you want to go to the bathroom. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, as long as they're not invading space, like especially a young person's space.
Right. Especially a really young person's space.
I'll just say that if you're not going in with ill intentions, I don't really give a shit either. But
right. And that's the thing is, those of us who really do believe in our liberties and in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, believe wholeheartedly that as long as you're not adversely affecting someone else, do what you want to do. If you are a guy who wants to cross-dress and identify as whatever the hell you want to, this is a free country. You are perfectly within your rights to do that. But if I see you and you look like a dude, I'm going to call you a cross-dresser.
Well, and don't get
how long you been that way.
And don't get mad if we refuse to accept, if you try to force what you think you are upon us,
we're going to
tell you no, don't get all pissed off about it.
Right.
It's just the way it is, man.
Right. Hey, it isn't personal. You can't take it personal. If you take it personal, that's on you, not on me.
Right.
All right. We have been at it for 1 hour and 3 minutes. Congratulations. We actually got some responses. Hey, let's just go right. Hey, guess what? All of this. Let's go through the comments again, shall we? Let me see. Grandpa, shut up. Wait. I'm sorry. I'm mad. Israel are terrorists. And B, whatever the hell B is. And then Veterans Trash Talk reposted this. I don't know who Veterans Trash Talk is, but I'm glad they reposted it.
Yeah.
Go Broncos tonight.
Yes.
Let's see them stay atop of the AFC and potentially the NFL. And Mom, I will work on getting this stuff you and I talked to before the show. I got to go fill up my wife's pickup truck with gas. For those of you who don't know, Dennis,
I saw that, Dennis.
Gas prices are at the The Murphy Express off of Iliff and Parker Road, the gas prices were down to like $1.89.
Wow.
See, I have a horse on, well, you can't see it, but I have a horse on my shirt.
Are you wearing a Bronco shirt? Okay.
No, it's not a Bronco, thank God.
All right, guys. See you guys next week. We
Sure.
will crank it, and it'll be great.
Godspeed.
All right.
Have a good week, Dennis.
You too.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.